Chapter 3. 10 billion to sit at that table. Impossible. Ethan's boldness nearly drove Sophia and her parents insane. Had he lost his mind after 6 years in prison? Sophia said, "Fine, if you say so, prove it. I'd like to see how you can make the Cole family now bow to you with just one word." She shoved her phone straight into Ethan's hands. Ethan stood stunned. It was true, he could destroy the Cole family with just his words, but he had given them a month. It would be better to crush them later. Sophia threw the phone on the ground, furious. "See, you can't do it, can you? Then never speak such big words while you're powerless." Her father pushed Ethan away and said, "Leave now. You're not welcome here. We have a dinner to attend." "No. Mom, Dad, let him in." "What do you mean, Sophia?" "I won't marry again. My husband has returned." Michael and Kayla couldn't persuade her otherwise, so they had no choice but to let him in. Sophia led Ethan to her bedroom and said, "Since you've returned, you're still my husband. I don't care about the rumors. I believe you're innocent, and anyone with eyes can see the Cole family set you up." Ethan's heart warmed. Her trust in him was more than enough. She continued, "But you must promise me to start from scratch and be realistic. I believe you'll achieve something great with your ability. I'll give you 5 years." Ethan replied, "I don't need that much time. Give me just 1 month and I'll destroy—" "Shut up," Sophia shouted. "I don't want to hear your unrealistic nonsense. Why can't we just be practical? Even if you have nothing now, I believe you will rise if you take it step by step." Ethan closed his mouth obediently. Sophia pulled a suit from the wardrobe and said, "I bought this for you 6 years ago. Put it on right now and come with me to the family dinner." "What's going on with you?" When Michael and Kayla saw Ethan dressed up, they naturally were displeased. Sophia clung to Ethan's arm and said, "Mom, Dad, Ethan is my husband now. Tonight I'll make this clear to Grandpa." Michael and Kayla glared at Ethan with burning eyes, then sighed helplessly. For heaven's sake.
The Reed family banquet was held at Heritage Cuisine restaurant, which they had completely booked out. Of course, the Reed family wasn't as powerful as the Coles, but they were still considered upper middle class in Northampton. When Sophia and her family entered the main hall, they were met with strange, mocking stares. In the past, when Sophia had married Ethan, Michael's family held the highest standing in the Reed clan. But after Ethan's downfall, Michael's family went through a drastic decline, and their position within the Reeds dropped as well, becoming the subject of ridicule, especially during family gatherings. "Look, isn't that Ethan standing next to Sophia?" "Yes, that's him. Has he really been released from prison already?" All eyes immediately turned toward Ethan. Eric, the head of the Reed family, frowned in displeasure and ignored the 4 of them. The old man favored Tyler, his son, and his family, mainly because Tyler's daughter had married Adam Miller, a wealthy mixed-blood man who had grown up abroad. This time, Eric was even planning to marry Sophia off to Adam's younger brother, Benjamin, who had long cast greedy eyes on her. With no one willing to acknowledge them, Michael and his family had to find a place to sit first. But just as they were about to sit down, a voice rang out. "No, Michael, you can't sit here." It was Hunter, the second eldest son of the Reed family, speaking.
"What? The seating for this family dinner was arranged." Michael's face turned questioning. "Arranged how?" "We have 4 tables tonight, ranked according to contributions to the family. For example, the first table is for families who contributed over 5 million this year. The second table is for contributors of 1 million, the third for 100,000, and the last table is for those who contributed less than 100,000, or nothing at all." Hunter smirked proudly. "Our family did well this year. We contributed about 5 million. So sorry, but this table belongs to us. Of course, he added smugly. "You could also sit at the first table without contributions if your family had assets worth tens of millions of dollars." Miriam, Hunter's wife, sneered. "Unfortunately, it couldn't be clearer where your family stands, and now you even have an ex-convict among you. Sorry, but the only place you belong is at the last table." Their son, Jackson, strolled over with a wine glass in hand and said, "Mom, Dad, as far as I know, Michael's family contributed nothing last year. Their company went bankrupt, and they even borrowed over $2 million from Grandpa. That's a negative contribution. It's unfair to the relatives at the fourth table. I suggest we add a fifth table for negative contributors."
Guess I agree. The rest of the Reed family chimed in. Fine, let's do as Jackson says. This will motivate you all. Eric gave his approval. Hurry up and sit down. Don't just stand there making a fool of yourselves. He shot Michael a displeased glare. So Michael and his family quietly went to sit at the fifth table. Then tell me, Ethan suddenly asked, tugging Sophia's arm, at which table should someone who contributes $10 billion sit? Ethan was the sole five-star war god. Wealth was just numbers to him. He didn't even know exactly how much he had, but paying $10 billion on behalf of Michael's family wouldn't affect him in the slightest. As soon as he said this, everyone stared at him in shock. Moments later, the hall burst into hysterical laughter. $10 billion? You must be joking. Even the aristocratic Cole family may not have that much money. He must have gone insane, coming here just to embarrass himself. Hey, Michael, did you know your son-in-law is worth $10 billion? Ha 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 ha. Michael and his family flushed with shame under the mocking gazes, wishing the ground would swallow them whole. How humiliating, utterly humiliating. Sophia's eyes blazed with anger. Ethan Cole, isn't it enough for you to talk big at home? Now you come here and embarrass me in front of everyone?
Haven't you done enough over the years? Her body trembled and tears silently streamed down her cheeks. Ethan said helplessly, "But I really do have $10 billion. At that moment, no one paid attention to Ethan's absurd claim, because the star of the evening had arrived, Tyler's son-in-law. Everyone, including Eric, rushed to the entrance to greet him. "I'm sorry for keeping you waiting," Adam said apologetically. Eric asked, "Your flight was delayed almost 10 hours? What happened?" Adam smiled. "Grandpa, didn't you hear? A very important person arrived in Northampton. The airport was shut down for 8 hours. "What? Did that really happen?" Eric asked in shock. "Who was this great figure that closed down the airport, Adam?" "Not only that," Adam said proudly, "but they say 100 planes escorted his private jet and 100,000 troops guarded the airport." "What the hell? What?" The hall erupted in astonishment. Adam puffed out his chest. "He's the commander of 9 war zones, the god of war of Erudia. You may not believe it, but I met this great man once abroad at a gathering. We even exchanged numbers. I didn't expect him to take office here in Northampton. In the coming days, I'll invite him over for Uncle Tyler. That way our family will establish a strong foothold in Northampton." "My God, incredible! How could you know someone like him? Cousin Tyler's son-in-law is truly remarkable, the pride of the Reed family. Well, with one exception, of course." Everyone looked at Adam with admiration, especially old Eric. Michael and Kayla were envious of Tyler's son-in-law, and Sophia was jealous too. Yet she still believed that in 5 years, Ethan could also make her grandfather proud. But unbeknownst to them, Ethan was barely holding back his laughter. "This kid really doesn't know what he's talking about. He doesn't even realize it was me who arrived. But his ability to spin lies, that's what I like the most." Ethan asked casually, "So you're saying you know the god of war?" Ethan laughed and said, "Then why don't I get to know you?"
Chapter 4. I am the god of war. What? Adam froze, as did everyone else present. What did he mean?
Adam frowned and said, "Are you saying you're the god of war?" Ethan smiled and replied, "Yes, I am the god of war, but I don't recall ever meeting you before." The entire room burst into laughter, especially Adam, who laughed uncontrollably. Even the old man, Eric, was amused, for he had never witnessed such entertainment before. "You're such a clown, Ethan, a real clown." Sandra, Adam's wife, sneered and said mockingly, "Oh my God, Sophia, your husband is absolutely hilarious. He called himself the god of war just to prove himself and save face. Do you even know who the god of war is? He's the supreme commander of 9 military regions, a man who can wipe out an entire clan with a single word. And how could that be? Was prison a battlefield? My God, Sophia, what kind of husband is this? I feel sorry for you." Others chimed in. "Don't bring him along with you in the future, Sophia. You might not find him embarrassing, but we certainly do." "Yes, don't let him attend any of our family gatherings anymore. The Reed family must maintain its reputation." Eric's expression darkened as he glared and said, "Michael, your family is truly disgraceful. You disappointed me." "Oh, God, what kind of sin did I commit in my previous life to deserve this?" Michael and Kayla lowered their heads in shame, their faces grim. It was the most humiliating day of their lives. Sophia sat quietly in the corner, tears streaming silently down her cheeks under the weight of the insults and ridicule. She had never imagined facing such humiliating moments. She looked at Ethan with disgust. She didn't care that he once was imprisoned, nor about the shame he carried after release. What she cared about was his behavior. At first, she thought he'd start fresh and live a real life after prison. But Ethan Cole had become nothing more than a bitter disappointment, unrealistic, loud, and cursed with his damned pride. What a fool! She didn't even want to acknowledge him as her husband.
But Adam wasn't going to let Ethan off so easily. "Well then, aren't you the god of war? Tomorrow there will be a grand welcoming banquet for this great man. I hope to see you there." Adam was well informed of the situation. Indeed, preparations for the welcoming banquet were already in place. Since Ethan had decided to settle in Northampton, he had been appointed as deputy of Northampton, something that made sense. Still, his true purpose for being here wasn't clear, and everyone feared this great figure. It would be too easy for him to cause panic. That's why Northampton had decided to host a welcoming banquet. Upon hearing this, Eric asked, "Oh, you can also attend such a banquet, Adam?" Adam shrugged and smiled smugly. "I just received my invitation." In truth, Adam had lost his mind to the point of spending $2 million just to buy 2 invitations, just for the sake of showing off at tonight's family dinner. Everyone looked at Adam in astonishment. Adam thought proudly to himself, that was $2 million well spent. Eric then asked cautiously, "Can you get more invitations, Adam? If you can, your father and I would like to expand our network." Tyler also looked at him expectantly. Adam replied, "I'll get them no matter what it takes." He agreed immediately, even though he could already feel his money burning away. Now he would spend another $2 million.
It was just a phone call away. Adam made the call and bought 2 more invitations. Sandra leaned closer to Sophia with a mocking smile. "Tell me, Sophia, will I see you at tomorrow's banquet?" Ha 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 ha. Sophia's face darkened. She knew very well that Sandra was deliberately embarrassing her. A short while later, a black car stopped in front of the Heritage of Cuisine restaurant, and a man in a suit stepped out. "Isn't that Rami, the secretary of the town office?" Eric rushed forward to greet the visitor when he recognized who it was. It was indeed Rami, the secretary of Northampton's town office.
a man in direct contact with the higher-ups every day. Naturally, he had to conduct himself with utmost courtesy. "Greetings, Mr. Reed. I'm here for a simple task. I have been instructed to deliver 10 invitations to the Reed family for tomorrow's banquet." After handing over the 10 invitations, Rami left quickly. He had been tasked by the chief secretary of Northampton. At that very moment, the chief secretary himself was sitting in the car outside, too afraid to face the legendary god of war. His superior's words echoed clearly in his mind. Quote, "Every important member of the god of war's in-laws must attend tomorrow's banquet." The invitations had to be delivered discreetly while keeping the sender's identity hidden. Thus, Rami was entrusted with the task. Ethan remained silent as he witnessed the scene, but Adam was dumbfounded. What on earth was going on? Hadn't he just bought only 2 invitations? Why did 10 suddenly arrive? And who had sent them? Was it Rami, the secretary of the town office? Eric burst into laughter. "You're the best son-in-law, Adam, to have the secretary of the town office personally deliver 10 invitations at your word. That's a true honor for the Reed family." Tyler was grinning.
Oh my God, you're incredible, Adam. Jackson looked at him with admiration. Sandra, you've married a great man. You must be the happiest woman in the world, unlike Sophia, who married a criminal. Sandra smirked and said to Sophia, I apologize that my husband is so extraordinary, Sophia, but if you ever need our help, just say the word. Though I wouldn't dare get too close. I'd hate for someone to accuse me of cozying up to my sister's husband. Sophia burned with anger. It was obvious Sandra was mocking her, but she couldn't do a thing about it. After all, Adam's supposed ability to make the secretary personally deliver invitations with a single phone call was truly overwhelming. Besides, an invitation to such a banquet wasn't something the Reed family could easily obtain. Meanwhile, Michael and Kayla seethed with jealousy. With a son-in-law like him, we'd wake up smiling every morning. We'd become rich for sure. Isn't Adam's brother interested in our daughter? But they knew they couldn't change Sophia's mind, so they kept their thoughts to themselves. At the same time, Adam was utterly confused. Where did this come from? I have no connections in Northampton. They must have made a mistake. But since things had already gone this far, he figured he might as well play along. It would only make him look better after all. Then Adam laughed and said, I'm sorry, Grandpa. I could only manage to get 10 invitations for us. After all, there aren't many spots available at such high-level banquets. Eric beamed with pride. You're the best of them all, Adam. Here, let your grandfather honor you. Seeing this, Michael was consumed with jealousy. Then Adam said, Why don't you distribute these invitations, Grandpa? Of course. Eric had 4 children. He handed out invitations to everyone except Michael's family. The remaining few he gave to Jackson and some of his favorite grandchildren. Thank you, Grandpa. Jackson and the others waved their invitations proudly in front of Michael's family. Without a word, Michael's family lowered their heads in silence. In Eric's eyes, they weren't worthy, and they knew it. They could only blame themselves. Suddenly, the silence was broken by a voice. Why didn't we get an invitation? It was Ethan who spoke.